Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Villa Vrindavan in beautiful Tuscany. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. Welcome to beautiful Tuscany, and welcome to the Wisdom of the Sages retreat here at Villa Vrindavan, which is a gorgeous villa. And I'm here with the whole crew. I don't know if you can see them. I can see them. I'm going to take off the way.
But don't move
the mic. There they are. Don't move the mic. There they are. I'm here with a gang, live. Kaustubha's in the other room. You can see I'm in the Mahabharat. Can you guys see this? If you're, I'm in the Mahabharat Museum. This is like breathtaking.
It's not just Mahabharat though, because that's like Ramayana.
We got Garuda here. It's okay. It's Ramya. Okay, it's the Epic Museum of all the Indian epics. But it is. What do we got? Someone's kidnapping somebody. Oh, that's Ravana kidnapping. It's like you're in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, but everything is Krishna conscious.
Yep.
It's everything we're supposed to be doing. We don't have to do anything else. We just have to take whatever we're doing and add Krishna to it. You want to run a museum? We can do that. You can do that as devotees. You just switch out all the art with transcendental art. Because everything, it's the interesting thing. I think as punks, Kaustubha, we hated the idea of what was appropriate, what was not appropriate, what was cultural, what was not cultural. Don't tell me about manners. Who wants your subjective ideas of manners? But we understand, there was a reason why there's ethics, why there's morals, why there's manners. You go to these museums back when we were kids, and we were like, okay, interesting. But all it is sort of like interesting for the mind. Where here, I feel like this is all interesting. It's all like history. It's all very deep. It's all artistic. But you're also falling in love with Krishna at the same time. The culture is not divorced from your God consciousness. And that's sort of like the magic of when you dive into this culture. And it's sort of why I love this whole part of Vedic culture we're in. By the way, if you're new to the show, welcome. It's a special holiday today. It is Krishna's appearance day, Krishna Janma, the appearance of Lord Krishna. And it is a massive holiday all over India, but now sort of all over the world and all over Tuscany. People are losing their mind because of Krishna's appearance. And so we're here. It's our first day of our retreat. People are just starting to show up. Mara, how are you back in the sacred land of Kinderhook? Is everything okay there?
Yeah. Missing out on you. Missing you guys.
Are you doing anything?
We miss you, Mara.
Yeah, we miss you, Mara.
I wish
you were here. And are you doing anything festive for Krishna's appearance on this auspicious Monday?
I'll fast.
You'll fast. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not the most festive thing.
That's not the most festive.
Pump up the festivities.
She's like, I'm fasting. Mara's very grave. I'm fasting and remembering death.
Maybe you ought to cook something special for Krishna and then break the fast with it.
Yeah, that's it. Pick some extra flowers for your altar. Yeah, we were saying yesterday also how in this philosophy, it is grave. It is sort of like we are into renunciation, but we're also into the joy of the soul as well, because life is also meant to be joyous. It's not meant to be just grave. We're grave about the material world. We understand we're temporary. We understand I don't own anything. I got my cute little kids. I don't own them or possess them. But at the same time, we understand like the soul is meant to actually enjoy for the ultimate enjoyment. But the enjoyment is not directed towards matter. It's directed towards sweet baby Krishna. Here's what we want to talk about today. We want to have a special episode of Sweet Baby Krishna.
Today, right?
It's all about Krishna today.
It's his birthday.
It's Krishna's birthday, so we celebrate. And he had a fantastic birth. But before we start, can I any announcements, or can we just jump into? I'm just going to read a little bit of
announcements to make.
Oh yeah.
I just sent out the Sage page, so if you are subscribed to the Sage page, you can check it out. It has our schedule for the week. And if you're not subscribed to the Sage page, you subscribe by going to our webpage, wisdomofthesages.com.
Yeah.
But we have a show tomorrow at the same time, 6 Eastern time. We got no show on Wednesday. On Thursday, we're back at 6. We got no show on Friday.
And, we're still figuring out the weekend.
And we're figuring out the weekend. Is that right? Okay. I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
We'll do at least one day on the weekend, right? At least one Q&A or something like that. And hopefully both days. Okay. And the Gita Shloka study memorization course is starting up again now, and they're going to memorize chapter 7. They memorize whole chapters. These people, can you believe?
They're memorizing by the chapter. Yeah.
I never memorized a whole chapter before, but they're doing it. They figured out ways and techniques to, what is it called, mnemonic devices.
Really? My brain my brain goes right to Mara. Mara, you joining that group? Come on, Mara. I'm trying to lead you. I'm trying to guide you in your spiritual life.
If
goading
Mary
her.
joins that group, it could be devastating for us because she's going to know more than we know. She's going to be like just like quoting verses like left and right, putting us on the hot seat.
Yeah, like correcting me. We can't have that happen. Forget it, Mary. You stay in that kitchen and you make those vegan cupcakes. Okay.
All right,
okay.
That's it.
Well,
you know what you
out.
can always announce though is that people got to start to save the dates now for Kali Columbia, right?
Yeah, Kali Columbia, January 1st through the 9th is our training in Kali Columbia. If you're thinking about getting the hell out of Dodge, we can help you. Come down Kali Columbia, Wisdom of the Sages Retreat at Sham Ashram. Tickets are ridiculously cheap right now.
And don't be afraid of Columbia. Like people got this thing in their head, right? Like they're going to get kidnapped or something like that. No, Columbia's great.
Well, we can't guarantee that, but
we can't guarantee it.
We can't guarantee that
you
won't get kidnapped. You might,
but it's worth the risk. It really
it's an adventure. It's an adventure. Life's an adventure, right? You must have somebody with some ransom money you can call. Okay, let's not go there. It's Krishna's appearance day. I'm going to keep this clean and cool. So I'm going to read just some verses from the Krishna Karnamrita. This is from Bivala Mangala Thakur.
I got some. Oh, I got Bivala Mangala Thakur lined up too.
You got Bivala Mangala Thakur? I got Bivala Mangala Thakur.
I got Govinda Damodar Stotram lined up.
All right.
But I thought you were going to tell like Krishna Leela, but you want to go to...
I am, but I want to start it off with a couple verses just to glorify Krishna.
Because you were talking about like art and music. We're getting all cultural there. Now we're going to come across with some poetry. It makes us seem like really cultural.
Cultured people. I got a chandelier. I got a massive Garuda and a gong in the background. I seem really cultured today. I've got a button-down shirt.
We'll share a little poetry then.
Cintamani Jayati Somagiri Gurome Shiksha Guruscha Bhagavan Sika Pinchamoli Yat Pada Kalpatarupa Lavasek Hareshu Lilasvayambara Samblabate Jayasri. All glories to Cintamani, my initiating spiritual master Somagiri. And my initiating spiritual master, Somagiri. All glories to my instructing spiritual master, the personality of Godhead, who wears a peacock feather in his crown, under the shade of his lotus feet, which are like desire shrees. Radharani enjoys the transcendental mellow of an eternal consort. So Bivala Mangala Thakur, we know the story.
That's an incredible verse.
It's beautiful. That's just like the pranam. We even started the verse. Right.
You know, Mara's going to be memorizing this stuff and just like she's not going to be reading that from the computer. She's going to just like have that stuff down. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it flows out of your mouth. That's the beauty of memorizing verses.
Yeah.
So Bivala Mangala Thakur, he was, we don't like to talk about great saints past, but he had an addiction to a particular prostitute.
It's like one of those men's problems.
One of those men's issues. And there's nothing more beautiful than a person overcoming their addiction, isn't it? And sometimes people, and addicts can vouch for me, sometimes people will do real crazy things to satisfy their addiction. Sometimes they put themselves into dangerous situations. Sometimes they risk their lives. Sometimes they hang out with creepy people in creepy places. So this one particular person, the author, he was so attached to this prostitute that he went out in the middle of a massive hurricane to visit her. And he had to swim across a river. You know, like these Indian rivers, they can get very dangerous. And sometimes in the rivers, there's dangerous animals, or you can get sucked under a current. And he's risking his life to see the prostitute. And the prostitute's name was Cintamani, which is a name of Krishna. It means a magical stone that can give you whatever you like. Krishna is like Cintamani. He's like a magic stone that can give you whatever you like in this world. So he got all the way, and the prostitute, she's like, I can't believe you. Like, what is the matter with you? You did so much just to come to me? Are you crazy? Why would you risk everything to come to me, a prostitute, just to get your lower chakras fulfilled? Come on.
Is that what she said? Lower chakras?
She said, come on, your lower chakras. And then she said, if you took a fraction of this energy that you direct towards Maya, towards the real Cintamani, your spiritual life would be perfected. How much energy, how much time, how much resources do people give towards Maya?
Most of it, like practically all of it.
All, right? Sometimes you go to town, okay, I'm going to visit Vrindavan and there's some temple. Hey, can you give some rupees to the worship the deity? And you're like, there's 20 rupees. Then we go to Starbucks and buy like whatever for like $5.50, $6.50. Give me a venti chai mate latte, soy. We'll blow anything on our sense gratification. But when it comes to service or giving from your heart, and then we back off. We direct so much time, so much energy, so much resources. But if I say, hey, let's sit down and read the Caitanya Charitamrita, how much time do I have for that? How much time do I have? Right? No time whatsoever. So we are here at Wisdom of the Sages trying to make all this stuff addictive. It actually is addictive. You just got to keep on taking the medicine. And then all of a sudden you become it's our natural default actually to hear and chant about Krishna. It's not something artificial. I'm going to, listen to these stories. No, it's what the soul wants to do. The soul wants spiritual life. So check out this next verse. This is quite beautiful. All right. Asti svastaruni
hold. But so what happened with the prostitute?
I don't know. I don't know what actually happened with the prostitute.
I mean, like, in other words, she told that to him, and then what happened? At least,
he said, you're right. He had a paradigm shift. He said, you know what? What am I? You ever have one of those spiritual moments? Like, what the hell am I doing with my life? That's what happened to him. I think we've all had one of those experiences. Like, what am I doing? What the heck am I doing with my life right now? And it's like you start seeing things from a whole different vantage point. I think a lot of people on the show are listening on Zoom. I'm looking at the faces of the Zoomers right now. I'm looking at your faces. I'm looking at Chapu. She had a paradigm shift. I'm looking at Shanaz. She's like, something's got to change. Things are different. I'm looking at Sega. I knew Sega
Sophie,
for 30 years.
Sophie, she's ready to change. I can see her there.
Sega's like a hardcore guy. I was trying to get him to read the Bhagavad Gita 25 years ago. And he was like, nope, I just like hardcore. I just like hardcore music. And then all of a sudden, bong, a bell went off in his head. What the hell am I doing with my life? And I think we all have to get, if we're lucky, we get that when we're young. Like, I need spiritual life in my life now. And sometimes it happens like at a midlife crisis. We're like, what the hell am I doing with my life? And sometimes we get it when we're old, like, I've wasted my entire life. And sometimes we never get it. That's the saddest. And so, yeah, I think if you're here today, you probably got it, or you got a little bit of it, or you're like, yes, that part of my life is dead.
Everyone needs to recognize that Cintamani in their life, right? It's giving that good advice.
Yeah. It's especially, beautiful for me that pranam, that verse to the guru, because, The first person to really teach me about Krishna consciousness was Harley Flanagan. He wasn't a prostitute, but he was like a leader of a gang. He used to tell me about Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita, and he was like, not the most saintly guy, but he was kind enough to share the Bhagavad Gita with me. He's like, yeah, take your life seriously, get into the Bhagavad Gita. And so sometimes Krishna tags different people to do certain things for you in your life, and you always have to appreciate what people have given you.
And so when he composed that verse, he spoke of 3 different gurus, right?
Yeah, one was Cintamani, right?
That's Vartma Pradarshika Guru, the one that shows you the path.
Yeah, the first person that you see that says, hey, man, I think we have people like this that say, hey, check out this book, you might like it. And they themselves don't necessarily follow it, but they sort of gave you a book. Vartma, how do you pronounce it again?
Vartma Pradarshika.
Vartma Pradarshika Guru.
Then
put
the
that
second
one on the board, Mara.
Was his Diksha Guru, his initiating guru, right?
Yeah, Somagiri. And then he says, my instructing guru, which is the super soul, or Sri Krishna.
Or maybe that meant like Bhagavad Gita too. Could have meant like that too.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Okay. It's also a nice thing as part of our culture is as soon as we wake up in the morning, we thank the teachers in our life. Before you do a puja, you thank the teachers in your life. Before you have any event, before we give a yoga class, you thank the teachers in your life. Before the kirtan starts, you thank all the teachers in your life. Because we understand that we are made up of the love of our teachers. Our teachers have sacrificed some part of their life to give it to us.
Did we do that yet today? Did we do our mantras?
No, we didn't.
Okay. Why don't we do that right now?
Let's do it right now.
Okay.
Well, that was leading up to it.
I know that you're perfect.
I'll do a special one today. How about this one? Do you know this one? Namashresta manumapi sachiputram matrasarupam rupam tasya grajamudapurim maturim gostavatim radha kunda girivara aho shiradika madhavasam prapto yasya pratita kripaya Shri Gurun Tamnatoshmi. Oh, my guru. Namashresta Manamapi Sachiputra, who gave me the shelter of Lord Caitanya, the son of Sachi, who gave me Rupa Goswami, Sarup Damodar, the 6 Goswamis, who gave me Govardhan Hill, who gave me Radha Kund, right? Who gave me this beautiful village of Vrindavan in the land of Mathura. To you, you've mercifully just given that to me. I've done nothing to deserve it. To you, I offer my obeisances at your lotus feet. Isn't that a beautiful prayer?
Gifts right there. Yeah, the most precious.
It's the most precious, and it makes no sense whatsoever. If you're not into it, it's like, what are you talking about? Gave you a pond in Govardhan Hill? What does that mean? Makes total sense now. Okay. Matter of fact, the more you read this stuff, it may not make sense. It makes more sense as time goes on. Okay, so here's another nice verse. By the way, it is also a good practice to wake up feeling grateful for what we have, isn't it? It's a great practice. If you're grateful, you're never sad. If you're entitled, you're never happy.
When I woke up this morning, I felt totally grateful. I'm in this beautiful place, these beautiful devotees, Italian devotees. I can't understand what they're saying, but I love their mood,
They're just talking to you Italian in a good mood.
I can tell they're pure people, they got good
The
hearts,
Italian voice is it's like a song almost.
Oh, it is, yeah. It's almost like I was talking to Gita Priya about it. It's like everything they say, it's kind of like it's like they're saying, I'm trying to explain something to you. Why don't you understand me? It's like,
Yeah.
why don't you get it? It's simple, isn't it? Why don't you? Like that. But it sounds so sweet.
Yeah, they're sweet. Okay. I'm too. Okay, here's verse 2 of this prayer, the Krishna Karnamrita. Asti svastaruni karagra vigalat kalpra prasuna plutam vastu prastuta venunada lahari nirvana nirvakulam shrasta shrasta niruda nirvivilasad gopi shahasavritam hasta nyasnanata pavargam akilo daram kishorakriti. How's my Sanskrit?
Beautiful. Perfect.
Thank you.
Pristine.
There is one of you guys is a Sanskrit scholar out there. You're like, that was horrible. Someone stop him. There is an entity who has the appearance of an adolescent boy and who is being inundated with the desire tree flowers falling from the fingertips of the damsels of heaven. That boy is completely carefree, situated in transcendental beatitude. Is that the word, Mara? Beatitude? Beatitude. As he sends forth waves of sound from his famed flute. He is encircled by thousands of effulgent milkmaids, the gopis, whose garments are becoming loose again and again from their extreme pleasure of hearing his flute. It's almost like they're undressing. Their garments are undressing.
He does things to people that just...
You've just fallen in love.
It's getting a little erotic there, but yeah, he's got this power. He can play that flute and like their clothes start loosening.
And they're trying to hold up their clothes. That adolescent boy, the pinnacle of munificence, places liberation from birth and death into the hands of his surrendered devotees. I like how it goes from almost like a cartoon-esque thing of a young boy in love, and all of a sudden he gives this heavy thing. He'll give you liberation from birth and death.
Just here you go. It's right in your hand. It's like the yogis, they work so hard for liberation, right? They renounce the world. They go to the forest. They spend lifetimes just eating the berries off the trees and nothing else, and just like trying to meditate and all this analysis. And this sweet little boy's like, here, take it right in your hand. I'll give it to you.
Well, the interesting thing is those type of penances, you get a lot of deep realization. You get a lot of deep realization if you fast. You get a lot of deep realization if you sit in a solitary place. Matter of fact, I met some yogi girl this weekend that she's like, yeah, I'm going to a solitary place and I'm just going to sit. You know, they do. Ever heard like these vision quests? We just go into the forest and you just sit. You don't leave like a circle. My son did that. My older son did that. And sometimes you can do it blindfolded. Right. And you get deep realization or no speaking. I haven't yet done that one yet. You know, speaking for 2 weeks, the Vipassana or the Mona Babas who just choose not to speak. You get a lot of deep realizations. Right. Right. But the deepest realization, where are we trying to go with all these realizations is that we're trying to fall in love. We're not just supposed to like realize that the material world is temporary or that I'm getting pulled around by my senses, or that there is something separate than my senses called the spirit soul. I'm actually supposed to take all that stuff and bring it to love, because love is the highest. And I'm still open-minded enough to wait for somebody with a better philosophy than that there's something higher than love, and that we're all coming from a loving source. Not only that, but that loving source is incredibly beautiful and charming. He's not just like ferocious, holding lightning bolts, whipping stuff at me for sinning. Who wants to fall in love with that cruel dude? I want to fall in love with a charming, adorable, sweet little boy.
I'm with you
about that. You with me?
I'm with you.
Right.
And this is kind of what you're saying is backed up right there in the Bhagavatam. You know, when the sages of Naimishranya, they ask Sutta Goswami, what's the highest teachings of all the Vyasadev's works, of all the Vedic literature? What brings the highest good for all humanity? What gives complete satisfaction to the soul? And he replies that it's Bhakti-yoga. And then, you know, the natural question is, well, are you sure? You know, because we've read all about like renunciation, right? This quest for liberation, for freedom from suffering and so on. But then Sutta Goswami replies, he says, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojataha Janayat Yasu Vairagyam Gyanam
Chayyoda. I took him.
Yeah, it's just like he's saying, get this straight. You can work really hard. You can spend lifetimes, bahunam janmana ante, you know, like working really hard for jnana, for knowledge, for detachment. But he says, but by rendering devotional service, by falling in love, you know, through bhakti to Krishna, one immediately acquires all knowledge and detachment from this world. So what the Jnana yogis are working so hard for, this beautiful boy, carefree boy that was being described here, who's playing his flute so nice, he's saying, if you just dedicate your heart to me, I'll just put that right in your hand. Like you'll have, you know, the yogis they're striving for it. It's so elusive. And he's like, here you go. that.
You ever like read those yoga books, like the yoga? Okay, I got like an hour and a half of yoga asanas. I'm going to do like an hour and a half of pranayama. Then I'm going to do like the sutra neti and clean out my nostrils with a string. And then I'm going to do the jal neti and pour nostril water. It's like after a while, it's like, when do I live my life? When do I make lunch? You know, like how are we supposed to do all this stuff? But the interesting thing about yoga is even just if you do a little bit, if you do 20 minutes of yoga, there's so much benefit. What to speak of if you like tease it all out and do all these intricate practices. And I think that's why people came to India, fell in love with India, or were fascinated by India, because there's so many layers of this stuff that we're not even touching. All these Vedic practices of chanting of mantras or studying Sanskrit, or all these practices for the body, or what's it called? The panchakarma cleanses for your body. And then the jyotish and the study, right? The kriyas and the marma points and like, where are we actually going with all this stuff anyway? How clean do we want to get this body? And what's the goal of the cleanliness? Just to be walking around like, Mr. Clean. Who cares? Who cares how organic my body is? You know, I can still get hit by a car and I'll be like organically dead, but dead. Where are we supposed to be going with all these yoga practices? And the idea, it's supposed to
Sweet baby Krishna. Sweet baby.
Yeah, it's supposed to arise some love in the heart. And that's the other verse right after that, right?
Let's hear it.
That verse that you quoted that
after that. Well, then after that is kind of like
is the Shrama Ebihi Kevalam verse.
Yeah, that's so like, what about, they're saying like, well, you're telling us bhakti is the highest thing out of all of the Vedic teachings. Well, what about like renunciation and jnana? He says, no, that comes automatically. You don't even have to try for that when you do bhakti. It comes, Krishna just puts it right in your hand, right?
Sure.
Like this verse was saying. And then they might say, well, what about like all of the duties that one's supposed to do in life that are there in the Vedas? Like you'll live a very pious and good life, and then all kind of good karma comes your way. What about that? You'd be a good, like a good brahmachari or a good grihasta, a good married person. You give in charity, you're pious and all that. And he replies, the occupational duties that someone performs according to their own position, they're only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction. Like you're saying, attraction, love, right? It's like
that's a huge verse, especially if you grew up in a Hindu family, that dharma is useless. That
it's heavy language.
Translation, Kaustubha's translation was your occupational duties, because that's how Prabhupada translates it. But it's saying your dharma is useless if it doesn't bring you to love of God. And I'm sure that we all met people who were dutiful but had no love. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. What good is your being dutiful, but you don't love the kids, you don't love your family, you're just doing your duty. Duty is supposed to bring us to love of God. Ethics is supposed to bring us to love of God. Cleansing your body, your asana practice should bring you to love of God. Right.
Well, let's hear more about that God that you're talking about from Bilvamangala.
Okay, Bilvamangala, here's what he's got. Chatur yaika nidana singha chapalam panga chata mantaram lava yamrita vichalolita drisham lakshi kataksadritam kalindi pulinangana praniyanam kamavatarankuram balam nilamami vayam badurima swaram jam aranunma. I ran out of breath.
Perfect.
Got a big.
Sure. I don't know much about Sanskrit, but that sounded absolutely perfect to me, Raghunath.
Prabhu, you just see the good in people. That is your special gift.
Oh.
Isn't it interesting? That's part of one of the qualities you get by practicing bhakti, is you cut off your finding fault with people and you just see the good in people. What great people to have in your life. That's why the association alone of people practicing bhakti is like such a higher planet to live on. You get around people who don't find fault, who don't criticize, who see the good in other people. That is a very special quality that in the material world, you're trained to see faults. Why? Because it helps you feel more secure in who you are. My security isn't coming from me seeing where Kaustubha or Mara have a shortcoming. My security has to come from me being secure in who I am and what my contribution is to the world. That's where I find my worth, not from trying to take everybody else down. Come on.
Right.
Okay, can I give you the translation for that?
I'm waiting for it, yeah.
Okay. We worship that dark bluish young boy in whom culminate the principal stimuli for amorous love, who causes Radha to become languid. Mara, languid?
Languid, what does that mean, Mara?
Mara, come on. Nancy Rothman's waiting. Say it quick. Nancy's on it.
I think it's like tired, but I'll look it up to be sure. It's
Come on, Nancy.
weak or faint, displaying or having a disinclination for physical exertion or effort, slow and relaxed. Yeah.
Okay,
so
she becomes languid when she sees Krishna, just like, okay.
Yeah, weak in the knees.
Radha, to become languid with the beauty. I tell you, due to Bhakti-yoga, my vocabulary has increased tenfold. How many? I would never say languid. I would never say phantasmagoria, that's for sure. I use that all the time. Phantasmagoria, come on.
And now we got whilst going from this weekend too.
It's
whilst.
I did get a memo that it's actually pronounced whilst.
Is it?
Excuse me, Miss Private School over here.
So they had to tell me that too. I didn't know how to pronounce it.
Whilst. I've been pronouncing whilst wrong all these years. That boy's beauty, like waves of nectar, engenders an extreme thirst in the eyes of Radha and her companions, and conversely, their nectarious beauty makes him thirsty to see them. He is affectionately worshipped by Radha's wistful glances, and he enjoys loving.
Wistful, Raghunath, wistful.
He's joking, it's wistful. And he enjoys loving pastimes with Radha and her friends on the banks of the Yamuna. We worship that young bluish boy, the source of the god of love, who has attained unchallenged dominion over love's sweetness.
Oh. This is not this judge sitting on the big chair judging and condemning people to hell. It's not his business at all, right? Now we're hearing about his heart. Where is that? Right.
This brings me back to the hardcore scene. If you don't mind me sharing this story. Yes, it does, because when Harley, the Cro-Mags were all into Krishna, except the guitar player. And I was sort of friends with them all. So I remember Harley preaching to me in front of CBGB's on Bleecker.
One of the guitar players, one of them was. One
was totally into it too. So I remember Harley preaching to me, showing me the Bhagavad Gita right in front of Bleecker and Bowery in the Lower East Side. And I was like, okay, all right, good. I'm nodding. And then all of a sudden the guitar player singles me out and he says, don't listen to these guys. Do you know what they're doing? They believe that the absolute truth, the origin of everything, the source of the cosmos, hear me out on this, is a tender blue cowherd boy. Do you understand how crazy that is? How crazy are these guys? And you know what my answer was? I didn't answer. I just thought to myself,
you're like,
why not?
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, they are crazy. No, I was like, why not? If God can be anything, why not be a blue cowherd boy? Why not be a charming, adorable, and what was the earlier verse said? Wistful. He's just blissfully playing. He's not like got tons of duties to do. Like, okay, first I got to create the universe. Oh, that's a lot. First of the different planets, different atmospheres, all these gases. Got to make the periodic table. Got to make all different fruits. So there's grapes and then a mango, and that's a lot of work. I want to get someone to outsource that.
He outsources all that. Brahma.
He outsources it to India. He outsources it.
Actually,
outsources it to Lord Brahma. Brahma outsources it because he's got stuff to do too.
Mm-hmm. And what's he do? Pastimes of love. All the stuff that we're reading right now.
He's just having fun.
Loving adventure. Next verse.
Yeah, and then when you understand Krishna's position, then you also understand all the avatars of Krishna, and how Krishna can also manifest different forms, because they're also interesting, and it catches our interest, and the pastimes catch our interest. And then you can understand how the demigods work, because Krishna's outsourcing stuff. So these people have powers. And this is why there's people, especially in India, who worship gods. Why? Because the gods have power and the gods reciprocate. But the powers are ultimately coming from sweet baby Krishna.
So this is great. So in other words, if we want to understand, we as we grow up, we get different presentations of God, and quite frankly, a lot of them aren't very satisfying, in my opinion. You know, the judge and all of that. But here's the idea with Krishna is like all of that business that most people praise God for, maintaining the universes and creation and, you know, all of that stuff. He's like, I'm outsourcing it all. I've got no time for any of that, right? Why? Because all he wants to do is be with those that love him in all different varieties of ways, and share that love back and forth is his only business. That's the God that we're talking about from Bhagavatam.
It's an attractive God. Yeah. Attractive form. One more of these?
Yeah, I'll take as many as you're sharing.
I'll give you one more. Ready? Barho tam savilasa kuntalabaram durya magnananam pronmilanava yovanam pravivalasa denupanam dritam apinastana kut malabir abito gopibir araditam jyotish te Chetashinashchakastu jagatam ekam biram bhutam. Let the effulgence personified, Sri Krishna, right? There's an effulgence. There is a white light. Like I was dying and I saw the light. Or I just believe in the white light. Yes, there is a light. What is the source of the light? Just say the room is light. The light in here. What is the source of the light? The light bulb.
Gotta be a source.
That's the source. It can't just be light. Or it's like, or the sun is in the room. Okay, the sunlight's in the room. What is the source of the sun? Half my live took off.
I don't know.
Where'd half my live go? I look back and half my live's gone.
Is it lunchtime or something? Where
They're like, it's in Italy. They take lunch very, very seriously. I thought this was going to be packed back there. I turn over my shoulder. You're like, they're making pasta downstairs. Okay. So Krishna, who is the source of that light, let that light, that effulgence shine within our hearts. He is wearing a bright peacock plume on his head. His face is steeped in sweet beauty. His fresh youthfulness is bursting forth, and his flute is pouring out murmuring nectareous sounds of rapture. What is rapture? That's like a spiritual, crack, like it cracks open spiritually.
Rapture, like you're just completely caught up in something. Like you're wrapped in it, right?
Rapture.
A feeling of intense pleasure or joy.
Okay. Rapture, spiritual rapture. On
all
sides.
Let's hear this verse again. I want start.
Okay. Let the effulgence personified, which is a pretty cool way to put Krishna. He's effulgence personified. And I love, again, how Vedic culture has personality behind everything. Mm-hmm. There's personality behind trees, behind rivers, behind stones sometimes, so behind mountains, personality behind wind and sun, and the earth has personality behind it. And people may say, well, that's weird. Well, you know what? My body is just a big clump of earth, isn't it? If you really just boil it down to what am I? It's just like I'm some fleshy, earthy thing. But it's a personality. It's a being. And that beingness extends in all other living entities, including the earth itself. It's just so overwhelming, right? The earth is so overwhelming. We're thinking, the earth. No, it's not the earth. It's a being. It's a being. The earth is a being, man.
So be kind.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like if a mosquito was biting my body right now, the mosquito's not going, oh, wow, I'm going to bite Raghunath. I'm going to bite him. I love his blood. No, he's just thinking, there's just some big clump of earth I suck. That's just what I suck. I suck earth, right? And he's not looking at me and is like, Raghunath hates mosquito bites. He's not thinking like that. He's just thinking, I'm a big clump of earth. But I'm a person.
Inside the mind of the mosquito.
But I'm a person.
Today. We go inside the mind of the mosquito today on Wisdom of the Sages with Raghunath.
Well, it's interesting. Material life wants to depersonalize everything. Isn't it true? Matter of fact, that's how we go to war with the other. We depersonalize the enemy. We make them into rats and lowly beings, and they're inhuman. They should be exterminated. You see cultures do this where they start to divide people and turn people against other people and take the soul out of them. We do that with animals. We depersonalize. It's just a commodity. It's a thing, right? We do it with plants, right? We do it with the forest. And of course we do it with the earth. Ask a gardener. They see spirit in all the little plants they're planting. All the gardeners are like, yeah, we do. Okay.
So you were reading that verse again. So he's the source.
Let the effulgence personified, Krishna, shine within our hearts.
There you go. That's a meditation right there, right? In other words, there's something very precious within us, right? We have God within our heart. Let it shine. This little light of mine.
I'm going to let it shine.
I'm going to let it shine. Well, what is that light? Let's hear more. Let's not just have like some very vague description of this light. Let's get more specific now. Tell us about that light. And that comes in the rest of the verse. Go ahead.
So good, huh? We talk about a light. A lot of people talk about a light.
Yeah.
We're talking about the source of the light. That's unheard of.
So what does the rest of the verse say about the source of the light?
He's wearing a bright blue peacock plume in his head. His face. Did you know that I was in the marching band when I was in high school?
I remember you saying something about that.
I was in a marching band and we wore plumes on our hats.
Glockenspiel or something?
I know. I played the sousaphone, actually.
What is a sousaphone?
Sousaphone's the gigantic tuba that wraps around your body.
For real?
That thing. I played that.
I thought you were into hardcore. How did you end up playing a sousaphone?
You know what? I was multifaceted, my friend.
I guess you were.
I'm a multifaceted. Stop trying to put me in a box.
All right.
And anyway, I'm saying that because we wore plumes like feathers. In retrospect, they probably killed these birds just so we could have those plumes.
Okay, but we'll go back to Krishna.
He is wearing a bright peacock plume in his head. His face is steeped with sweet beauty, and his fresh youthfulness is bursting forth, and his flute pouring out murmuring nectareous sounds of rapture. Like, imagine that. The sound of the flute is causing spiritual rapture in your body and being. On all sides, the milkmaids of Braj, who have blooming bud-like breasts, awkward, worship him in adoration. Well, it's awkward for me to say that.
Doesn't have to be. Well,
if I was reading it alone, I wouldn't feel awkward. If I'm reading in front of thousands of people right now, it's awkward. Indeed, he is amazingly the only enjoyer and the only source of enjoyment in the entire universe. That is a very heavy statement. Indeed, he is the only enjoyer. So what does that mean, Kaustubha? Can you explain? Well, I'm enjoying. I went out for breakfast today. I had fresh figs. I had an avocado croissant. How is Krishna the only enjoyer? I definitely was the enjoyer this morning.
Well,
can you explain that?
He said that he's the only enjoyer and the only source of enjoyment, right? So the easiest, most simple analogy we can use to help us understand this is the root of the tree and then the trees, right? In other words, if all of the leaves want to enjoy, or let's say be nourished and healthy, then all of the the water's got to go right to the root. And when that root, the root is what's kind of like supplying everything else. And that's the strategy. That's the blueprint of existence. That's what Bhagavatam is trying to help us understand. What Bilvamangala Thakur, following the teachings of the Bhagavatam, is teaching through his poetry, beautiful, very beautiful poetry, is that just feed this one root and everyone becomes satisfied. Otherwise, we fight like crazy with each other, right? We think, I'm the enjoyer. No, I'm the enjoyer. No, I'm the enjoyer. And then we fight over the resources. And quite frankly, he's the one that created all the resources. It's like Krishna could enjoy Radha and all these gopis, and it's talking about their bodies, right? But their bodies are his energy. He has every right to enjoy his own energy. Anything that we create is also his energy, right? Like, right. What could I create? Name anything. I got to go and get Krishna's energy to create it. If I'm going to create some pizza today, I got to get Krishna's tomatoes. I got to get Krishna's, wheat, et cetera, to make that. It's all his. he's always the enjoyer, because all the energy says we don't create anything really. We create using his energy. So he's the enjoyer. It's all meant for his enjoyment. But the beautiful way the equation works is that when we begin to, Krishna's called Rama, right? Which means he's the source of all happiness and bliss and pleasure. So when you serve Rama, then naturally you also become pleased. And that's the way it works. So he's the only enjoyer. In the equation, he's the Purusha. He's the enjoyer. But when you serve that enjoyer, naturally you enjoy, because he's also the only source of enjoyment.
Ready for some shelter lyrics?
No,
Insert shelter lyrics now. Ready?
Okay.
By the way, there's like, just when you thought I was totally washed up, because now that the Hare Krishna movements, now that the torch has been passed to Madhava's rock band, and they're taking over the Hare Krishna movement and punk music. There was like 6 hardcore guys at the temple yesterday at the Sunday feast.
Which temple? Oh, here last night.
Here at the temple, yeah.
Yeah. Did you connect with them?
I did connect. They were sweet guys.
Good.
Old hardcore guys, Krishna hardcore guys from Florence. But anyway, secondhand gods. That's all we are. Not creating, manipulating, and leaving the scars. Robbing from the earth. We leave scars, man.
Yeah, when we try to be the enjoyer, we just end up scarring ourselves and others.
If the human race was gone right now, and like the nature started growing through all the malls and the crap and the junk we've created, we've left such scars. We didn't leave anything of beauty practically. Right? Not creating, manipulating, and leaving the scars, robbing from the earth, stealing from the trees, not out of need, but greed and false prestige. But it's all yours, Krishna. What do I own? Not family, property. It's all on loan. But our miserly minds of I, me, and mine fight in wars for what's not even ours. So here's my plea for Sharanagati.
You were at the peak of your creative,
Yeah, I know. It was the Da Vinci.
That was pretty. I gotta admit, that was really good, Raghunath.
It was poetic. I'm no Bibala Thakur, but
well, No, that was really good. I think that was really excellent.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so I'm just gonna read that last line again because it's so darn beautiful.
Your line or Bivalmangala's?
Bivalmangala's. Yeah.
Okay.
Did I lose it? He is amazingly the only enjoyer and the source of all enjoyment in the universe. Indeed, he is amazingly the only enjoyer and the source of enjoyment in the entire universe.
We just got to get this simple point. We'll become happy.
Yeah. Our enjoyment comes from giving, not from taking. Simple math. It's lifetimes of materialism, Prabhu. It's hard to shake. I've been working on it, but I'm a really good materialist.
We got to do it together.
That's what it is. It's teamwork. It's teamwork. How do you move 1,000 coconuts? With a team of coconut movers.
That's how they do it.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
The coconut team mover analogy. Yes.
No, a good point. No, here's the point. Like we had this massive tree fall at Super Soul Farm. And sometimes I'll go out there with a chainsaw, I'll start processing it. And after like an hour, I was like, this is exhausting. And you can't do much. Then we have like a Super Soul Save a weekend, and like you get like 30 girls and guys coming over. We process that tree, we cut it, we split it, we stack it, we load it. It's like the whole thing's done in a few hours. It's unbelievable. And it's the community of like-minded people on a spiritual path that lift us. Sometimes, even if you got a good attitude, Mara's got a really good attitude, but sometimes she gets down. And then we're here to lift her. And sometimes I'm down. And then she lifts us. And then some Kaustubha's down, right? And we take turns lifting each other. And that's the beauty of community. We show up even when we're down. And the community makes us float, right? It's important to have people like that in your life. You lift me up where we belong. Like a mountain spring. Is that? Did I just made that word up?
I think it's about the eagles flying or something.
Okay.
Joe Cocker. Do your Joe Cocker version.
You know so much about music, man. I don't know anything. Okay. Ready? One more. Here we go.
Another.
I sort of stole the whole show today.
No, this is perfect. We
sure?
should even come back and do this tonight. Maybe why don't we just like broadcast what we do? Like
maybe we should do this.
With some,
you know, I was gonna just read the birth of Lord Krishna briefly. Should I do that?
This is I mean, it's too late now. We could just do this. More of this is good.
All right, last one. Madhu Rattara Smitam Ritya Vimugda Mukhambaru Hum. I blew that one. Mada Sikhi Pichin Damoga Kacha Prach. I blew. I'm just gonna read the English because I think it's a different meter. And I'm off. Okay. Sri Krishna's eyes are long like petals of a blooming lotus. Like that. The petals of a blooming lotus. So that means like circular and then getting thinner and thinner and thinner at the edge.
Like the whole way across the face.
Yeah. And his charming lotus-like face is made of the more charming and is made all the more charming by his extremely beautiful and sweet nectarious smile. Right? Sometimes there's a beautiful face, but when that face smiles, it lights up a room.
This is the face that you want to see, right? He's not judging you. He's welcoming you.
It's a welcoming face. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes even like I'm not the best looking guy, but if I smile, it's sort of attractive.
You look beautiful when you smile. Right?
Well, that's it. But if I don't smile, then you just get stuck with this big meat puppet. But when people smile, when beautiful people smile, it's even more enchanting. So Krishna is like that when he smiles. It's even more intoxicating. Extremely beautiful, sweet, nectarious smile. His profuse curling hair looks delightful with their decoration of proud peacock's tail feathers. It should be understood that Krishna does not pick them off the peacocks. Krishna finds them just on the ground. His profuse curling locks look delightful with the decoration of proud peacock's tail feathers. Let him, the embodiment of all effulgence, forever shine within my heart, which is outwardly greedy for the poisonous meat of sense objects.
Yeah.
Right? This is what's going on.
Spit at that.
I'm outwardly greedy for material objects. It's called the poisonous meat of sense objects. And why is it poisonous? Because indulgence makes us sad. And I think we've all experienced that. I've experienced it on this trip, perhaps every day, perhaps every meal, trying desperately to find God by eating one more. Anyway, one more. Yeah. So anyway, the idea is that my desire for sense gratification, it's like, who asked that question yesterday? It was such a good question. It's like, why? Oh, it was Amita was asking the question, why do I tell my nephew not to eat meat if the cow is going to be killed? The idea is we're not necessarily doing just to save the cows. We're doing it to save ourselves. Indulgence causes me pain. It's not that I'm just eating all the cannolis, right? Indulgence is causing, or lying causes me pain. Stealing causes me pain. Meat eating causes me pain. You know?
Me pain.
What's the cost of Netflix? $14.95 a month? No, it's costing me my valuable time. Right? We're breaking ourselves. You can't break the rules. You can just break yourself. What do you think of that? You can't break the rules. You can just break yourself.
You break yourself against the rules. Yeah.
You break yourself against the rules. Mara, write that one down.
All right. Is that it? Because we're kind of out of time. Should we broadcast tonight?
I didn't finish the English. I didn't finish the English.
Okay.
Let him, the embodiment of effulgence, forever shine within my heart, which is outwardly greedy for the poisonous meat of sense objects.
Yeah,
I did. That was the end.
Okay. But that was 2 verses in a row about like the shining in the heart, right?
Yeah, it was. You know, we only this whole class we only read 5 verses. but they were so good.
Verses. Yeah.
And it was a good way to start. And I'm going to encourage everybody on this auspicious day. These are considered like stimuluses for bhakti, these holy days like this. Stimuli.
Udipana. It's called.
Udipana, is that the word? So it's a day to spend a little extra time. Don't worry about fasting, Mara. Enjoy about feasting Krishna's, making something special. You're such a good cook. Make something for Krishna special that's just for him. And then you eat the remnants, right? Take some time to serve some devotees. Spend a little time extra reading today. Chant some extra japa. Whatever
himself, like we did today, right? Like about him. It's his birthday.
Yeah. Read something from the 10th canto or the Krishna book and just enjoy Krishna a little more. Enjoy him just by hearing about Krishna. And don't worry about renunciation. Worry about adding Krishna to your life a little bit more. It's a special day, and it's going to be the mother of devotion. Is that what it's? The mother of devotion? Or the
mother? These holy days are the mother of devotion. What is
the
it?
Mothers of
yeah, I forget the
Janmashtami and Ekadasi. And
yeah.
Sounds good, everybody?
Sounds good.
Any takeaways, Mara?
Oh, yeah. Do you have the music queued up, or should I do that, Mara?
Oh, I don't have it queued up.
Okay.
Nancy Rothman, you're on.
I have to.
Mara's like, I'm sick of these jokes.
I think Nancy Rothman's probably sick of the jokes, actually. All right, takeaways. How much time, energy, and resources are we giving to Maya?
Oh, yeah.
If you're grateful, you're never sad. If you're entitled, you're never happy.
Tattoo.
Deep realizations are supposed to bring us to love.
Yeah.
No one cares how organic you are.
Nobody.
Dharma is useless if it doesn't bring you higher.
Mm-mm.
Cut off your fault finding and just see the good.
Chop it.
Let the effulgence personified shine within our hearts.
Glow.
Shine it.
Shine on.
We need a community of like-minded people on a spiritual path to lift each other up.
Lift us.
Indulgence makes us sad.
Yeah.
You can't break
the rules. First happy, then very sad.
Yeah. You can't break the rules. You just break yourself against the rules.
Break it up. Break it. Break down the walls. Break down the rules. Thanks, everybody. Play some music. Dance around the kitchen. Play some bhajans and dance around the kitchen. How about that for Janmashtami? Huh?
Okay.
Cue that music. I have nothing else clever to say. There we go.
Oh, that's the end of the song. There we go. Here, beginning.
There we go. Ready? Set. Hit it. Woohoo! Thanks, everybody. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Maha Mahotsava ki. Go Vrindavan Bihari Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki. Villa Vrindavan Dham ki. Live people. Wait, we're missing even more. Live. What's going on here? Maybe, are they in your room, Kaustubha? Where are they?
They're not in my room.
Not in your room. Okay, I don't know. Thanks, everybody. Jai Krishna Bolo Jai Ra. Hey, this is a community-supported podcast. If you like what we're doing, you can contribute. Make a monthly donation. Wisdom of the Sages. It's patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages. We appreciate it. Those who are contributing, we appreciate it. I just want you to know that. It's helping us keep going forward with this. And I don't know, maybe we should do a Patreon thing later. How can they find out, Mara, if we do? We'll keep it spontaneous. Mara's like, oh boy, you're making my life hard.
I can post it on Discord.
We can post it on Discord. Check Discord, Patreon members, and we'll figure this out. If we're going to do a Patreon class tonight, maybe we should do something.
Yeah.